And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes.
All right, welcome to the show. Thanks for spending some time with us. Greatly appreciate you joining us on the Quarterback Show. We got Mark Haye in studio with us, followed by Atty. Rickman on the program as well, Attorney Atty. Rickman. And Mark, we're going to talk about cash flow and accumulation investing. Give us a little teaser of that.
Yeah, so cash flow versus accumulation investing is two different ways to invest, and then we'll talk about both, compare them, and then see where we land.
Yes, sir. I love it. And real estate, being a core component in a lot of folks, plans where they look at the overall cumulative style, what they're going to do, the benefits. So we'll talk more with Mark about that. Also, I was watching Fox the other day, and they talked about the 4 milestones of adulthood. We're going to break that down. Kind of talk about the differences now of the average 18 to 25-year-old in the 70s versus now, and some of the differences, and maybe how corporate America's shapes it. All right, a couple of hot listings, and we'll talk more here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, before you do, follow us online at Brandon Rimes 1 at CQB Show, and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're putting out a lot of great content, especially stuff here locally. There's a lot of alleged, waste, fraud, and abuse in Hillsborough County and other places. So we're letting you know about things local, and if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get all those videos fed to you, so you'll be able to keep up on things happening in short chunks. I think people like that, Mark, the short piece, when you're on that Instagram and you're scrolling, and that's what we're putting out, those short clips.
I enjoy it. Nobody wants to sit and listen to a 25-minute clip, but if I can get 30 seconds, I'm interested.
Yeah. Well, then what I do is I listen to that 20-minute or that 40-minute clip when I'm really interested to find out, like, for example, what's going on with all these, let's just say politicians committing mortgage fraud. I'm seeing a lot of that. So I'm like, let me dig deeper into this. Oh, they claimed a primary residence when they shouldn't have? Oh, got it. But if we would do that, we're going to get in big trouble.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Tax evasion, right?
We'll see how that plays out. But, all right, a couple of hot listings here. We got 118 Lakeshore Drive. Love this property. Waterfront. This is your ski lake that you've always wanted to be on. This is 2,500 acres of pure fun and excitement on the waterfront. You're out there skiing. You're on your jet skis. You're cruising down to lunch to meet up with your friends. You're taking your boat to the Tarpon Turtle, eating dinner and having lunch, living that Florida lifestyle to the fullest at 118 Lakeshore Drive East in Palm Harbor. This is 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 1,740 square feet. You got a quarter-acre lot as well, and gorgeous boat dock, and also Sea-Doo ramps there, or Sea-Doo lifts as well. You got your pool, granite countertops, gorgeous property here right on Lake Tarpon, and you have the 180-degree view, much different from having that rear neighbor if you're on a canal. 118 Lakeshore Drive East, Palm Harbor, Florida. Excellent luxury property from Keller Williams Realty. 3308 Landing Place, another beautiful listing that we have. We just did a price improvement. We've got open houses going on. Matter of fact, we put together these caravans where you can go cruise and check out multiple properties. Let us know if you'd like to sign up for that. You can hit us up on the show website at consumerqb.com. Submit the form. 308 Landing Place, Palm Harbor, Florida. You got 3 bedrooms plus an office, 3.5 bath, 2-car garage, and again, you're on Lake Tarpon here. This is private marina, boat slips, ramp to Lake Tarpon, that is. Back your boat down, and you're in the water. Gated tennis and basketball courts, 3308 Landing Place, Palm Harbor, Florida. And you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Only in America.
All right, quick shout out to Lee's Royal Services for all your home and office cleaning. Lee'sRoyalServices.com. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, Mark Haye back in studio. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good stuff.
Yep. So I wanted to talk about accumulation versus cash flow investing.
Okay.
Certainly you can do one or the other or even both, but I'm not here to talk about which one's better. It's just kind of we'll talk about the pros and cons of each and then kind of see where we land. But majority of people fall into the accumulation investing. And what do I mean by that?
Right.
Government-sponsored plan, 401k, IRA, et cetera. So I'm just going to use 401k because that's the most popular accumulation as far as investing, planning for retirement, etc. And I also ran a few things from Vanguard to kind of talk about it. But what is a 401k? And again, it to me, it's like a lazy way to save for retirement because it's automatic. It comes out of your paycheck every couple of weeks. You have a very limited funds, maybe 12 to 15 different funds you could choose from, and you can't touch the money till 59 and a half, and then there's penalties, etc. So it's kind of a way for you to set it, forget it, and then hope that works out later. And when you have a big chunk of money in retirement, and you may not realize it, but everybody is going to have to be good at cash flow. It's just a matter of when that's going to happen. Yeah. The problem is we're not taught as a society to cash flow. We're taught to accumulate, save, buy, save. And when it comes to retirement, and let's say you saved $1 million in this 401k, you have to learn how to cash flow now that bank statement or that Fidelity statement. How do you live off that in income? If you've never practiced it, how do you do it now? Yeah. You know what I mean? So a 401k, it to me, is a lazy way to save for retirement because it's simple, right? But let's just say that's a 1% fee, and I'm going to use that for a reason. It's more than that, but let's just use 1%. And you save $1 million in this 401k, and 1% fee is $10,000 a year. Okay,
so 1% per year.
Yeah, $10,000 a year. Now we use what's called a Monte Carlo simulator. Now anybody can do this. I mean, you can go on AI and you can put in Monte Carlo simulator, and you could see how much you have, how much you're saving, what withdrawal rate you're going to have, and a percentage that's going to last through retirement. Anybody can do this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we look at a 30-year retirement plan. And I tell people all the time, a 401k is like the best thing to ever happen to Fidelity or these big investment firms because once you're in, it's automatic. Like you're automatically investing in the market.
Yeah.
So the stock
and don't
market.
wait. The key is when you're talking here, I'm thinking, well, yeah, because if they try to push the cash flow game too fast, too late, then you're setting yourself up for failure. You got to start early.
Correct.
Have you heard the story of the postman that was, he's at a modest wage back? This is an older story, so he's in his he made $36 a year, something like that. Yep. But he retired as a millionaire, right? Tony Robbins tells that story.
Yeah, because he saved and accumulated, etc. But these asset managers and these financial companies, this is a great asset or a great vehicle for them because it's auto investing. You're trapped in it. You can't get out to 59 and a half unless you want to pay taxes and a penalty. And then you only have a limited funds, 12, 15 different funds to choose from. So it's very, very limited on what you can be investing in. So it's very easy for an asset manager or Fidelity to do 401ks because it's very limited in what you can and can't do, and you can't get out, once you're in.
So the long run setup is there.
Correct. So when we run a Monte Carlo simulation, they look at 2.5% to 4% withdrawal rates. 2.5% very conservative withdrawal rate, 4% is more aggressive, and then it kind of shows you how that's going to last in retirement. So I'm using $1 million, and we're going to retire, and we're going to use 4%. But you're only allowed to take out $40,000 a year. And people don't realize that $1 million on paper is still taxable money in there. So if it's 30 or 40% taxes, that's $300,000, $400,000 of taxes inside this account. So you pull $40,000 out, that's taxable. That 1% fee, you're getting charged on the taxes. You're not charged on $600,000 of that million. That 1% is on the million, which includes the taxes, which is insane. Yeah. The government wants to come in and put all these restrictions on Wall Street, which I agree there needs to be some restrictions. But how about not paying taxes on or a fee on a tax?
Not paying a fee on a tax.
It should only be our dollar amount.
Yeah.
You pay taxes on, which would cut with a fee in half, right? So let's just use simple math. If I have $1 million on my 401k and let's say 50% is taxes, and I got 1%, 1% should be on $500,000 because the government's getting the other.
Right.
You know what I mean? So why are we paying taxes?
Yeah,
on
it's
that?
almost like
Or
the
fees?
unrealized gains that we talk about.
Exactly.
Getting taxed from. That's what Kamala wanted to do nationwide on all the property tax.
Yeah.
But and that's a good point. And when you think about the taxing, the municipality taxing, that's a big word in Florida right now.
Yeah, exactly.
People are looking at, hey, how can I reduce my overall cost? Because a lot of these seniors. A lot of the seniors are in those homes and those prices are going up. People are getting priced out.
Right. And so you say, okay, but it's only 1%. All right, it's only 1%. All right, on the thing. But you're taking out $40,000 a year in our example, right? 4% withdrawal at $1 million, $40,000 a year. The Fidelity gets $10,000 because that's 1% of $1 million. That's 25% of your income is going to a fee. You with me? Wow. It's not just 1%.
Yeah.
We're taking 25% of your annual income going to Fidelity. And the problem with accumulation is you can't control this stuff. You can't control how it's going to be taxed. You can't control the withdrawal rate. You can't control the market. You can't control the fee. You can negotiate the fee, but the mutual fund's going to have its own fee. The advisor's going to have their own fee. The fidelity's going to have their own fee. Everybody has their own fee, right? So we can put this money in there and accumulate it, and we could have this big bucket of money, but now what, right? Where I lean more towards, I'm a cash flow investor. I'm a cash flow advisor. I want to develop and hope that works out. And the reason I don't like accumulation, and I've done it, through my 20s and even my early 30s, I was a miser. I would save everything I could. I would barely spend money, barely go out. I wanted to see my bank statement get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then what? My lifestyle is not changing. You know what I mean? It's actually getting worse because I'm getting worse as a miser. You know what I mean? And then I, unlock the tax code and go, well, wait a second. If I can pay less in taxes and increase my cash flow and invest that money in assets to develop more cash flow, now it's a snowball effect. And I don't have to wait 30, 40 years to enjoy that. Now I'm proficient in cash flowing when I get to that 60, 70 years old. And I don't have to worry about, okay, well, Monte Carlo said I could take out 3%. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, you're counting pennies at that point. But what happens is I think some people, like you said, they don't know, they don't fully understand, hey, I can go this route. Now, do you have some people that say, hey, look, I'll put a safety net over here. I'm going to have my slow investing going on over here. And then I'm going to take money and put it on this side. And that's where I'm going to buy my real estate, do my flips, maybe buy an apartment building, put together some dollars with some other folks and say, hey, I'm going to buy some apartments. So the more doors, the better, right?
What are cash flow assets? Cash flow assets is a business. I want to start an LLC. I want to sell stuff on Amazon. I want to be in real estate, have a short-term rental, long-term rental. I don't care, but real estate, that's a really good business and cash flow. Cash value life insurance, you can live off that in dividends, dividend-paying stocks, lending, private notes, annuities give you income, as far as cash flow. A lot of advisors will rip annuities, but income annuities do what you're supposed to be doing, which is cash flow without taking that risk, And so then I looked at Vanguard, and they just gave an updated 2025 on the medium averages of 401k balances. So again, if we're looking at accumulation investing, 401k is the main tool that people use, right? And so I'm 45. I think you're the same age. Let's just stick in our age group. From 45 to 54, the median, and when I say median, that means half of the savers are below it and half are above it. Okay, so it's a very accurate, tight situation to see where we're at. $67,000 is in those. Okay, $67,000 is saved on the accumulation side for retirement. So the next group is 55 to 64, $95,000, and then 65 and older is $96,000 is the median. Okay, if you take 4% of that, that's $300 a month of income in retirement. Who is going to live on $300 a month of income in retirement? So the accumulation investors, it's not a situation where I look forward to seeing how this turns out for you. Because we already know how it turns out.
Right.
Now, I put into an IRA $7,000 a year every year just because I do that. That's my accumulation of saving for retirement. But I go heavy on cash flow today.
Right.
And so I use my bank account as just emergency fund, 3 to 4 months, pay the bills, pay the employees, pay the rent, whatever. Then I take excess cash, I put it inside cash value. The reason I do that because I get so many benefits, long-term care, death benefit, non-direct recognition, credit protection, tax-free. I can use it for retirement. It's liquid. And then I take that cash flow, that money, and I invest it into real estate, businesses, private loans, equity, stocks, crypto, whatever that may be to develop more income today.
What type of businesses are you looking at right now?
I'm a big real estate guy. Okay, so if I could do
Yeah.
anything commercial real estate, if I could do anything residential real estate, if I can lend money out as a mortgage, like a bank does, and
Be the
back it
bank.
by I like that. Okay, when it comes to other businesses, I like to do stuff that I can control.
Yeah.
So if I can go buy a car and put it on Turo, I'm doing that because
go.
I can control that. I
Yeah.
can control what the car looks like. I can control who rents it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That kind of stuff.
Yep.
You can go and do cool things like on Amazon and resell products. I know customers do that or
Yep.
clients do that. That's an easy thing to do. But there's so many things to do that you can do today that can unlock the tax code. And once you unlock that tax code and you start reducing your taxes by 10, 20, 30,000 a year, you just increased your cash flow.
Yeah.
And then you go and invest in more cash flow assets.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was one of the motivational speakers says something to the effect that if you're born poor, that's not your fault. If you die poor, that is 7 and 11 in the evening. Right? What are you doing? But in that time when others are just going to sleep, they're doing their average life. But you can go on the internet today. You can't. Our grandparents didn't even have this opportunity. So to have these people complaining and not having the accountability like you see in this world, hey, stop complaining, put the work in, put the time in, and stop spreading the stories, because that's what holds you back more than anything. Oh, I would do it because of this, but no, because of that, I can't do it. No, just do it.
Yeah, and go back to what you just said. When I say a 401k and IRA, to me is like a lazy way to invest for retirement.
Okay.
It's also a way for the individual or the investor to blame others.
Right.
Oh, it didn't work out because my employer didn't have a good plan. Oh, it didn't work out because I was only given these funds. Oh, it didn't work out because of the advisor. Oh, it didn't work out because of Fidelity. Oh, it didn't work out because of taxes. And you can blame everybody else, right?
Yeah.
But if you go cash flow, it's on you now.
That's right.
You are taking hold of your future today doing cash flow.
I love it. And we can help you get there. 813-917-1894, Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. Quick break and then more with Mark Haye, 21st Century Financial, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also coming up, the 4 milestones of adulthood. We're going to talk about that. Away from the parents, so they're out of the nest. If I recall, McConaughey did a movie about leaving the nest, failure to launch, labor force, ever married, and then with children. So the different lives there. That's going to be interesting to talk about. Mark Haye in studio, Brandon Rimes, Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rimes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Did you know that we buy houses cash? We can close quickly for a all-cash offer on your real estate properties, residential, commercial, even vacant land. We'll buy your property cash. No cleanings, no showings, and no hassles. You can even possibly stay in your home post-closing. Call Brandon at 813- at consumerqb.com or call 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. We buy houses cash and fast.
Attention business owners, did you know we have 100% financing options available? Our no money down program offers 100% financing for business owners. If you are currently leasing your commercial space, you can purchase real estate for no money down. Additionally, the program offers money for working capital, equipment, and business fixtures. You can even pay off current business debt. Reach out at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. BRimes at kw.com. And that is our 100% financing, no money down program for business owners. We would love to help you buying, selling, or investing in real estate. 813-917-1894. BRimes at kw.com. Ours Creole Smokehouse, the official Pinellas County restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Say hello to Doug Clark, chef and owner Doug Clark, 310 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs, ourscreole.com. Ours Creole Smokehouse, 310 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs, ourscreole.com. Excellent food, wonderful ambiance. Say hello to our friend Doug Clark. If you're facing an insurance claim, don't just trust the insurance company to have your best interests at heart. This is Brandon Rimes, Consumer Quarterback Show. Reach out to rightwaypa.com, our friend Derek Coble at rightwaypa.com. Looking to level up your sales game? With 20 plus years of coaching experience spanning across several industries, Lindsay Rimes helps everyone from entry-level reps to seasoned business owners boost sales, improve work-life balance, and retain top talent with customized options catered to personal. Offer training on negotiation strategy, business development, and more. Let's grow your business together. Call 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Submit an email at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, Brandon Rimes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk about these milestones of adulthood and the failure to launch in America in some ways when you think about that. Before we do, a couple of hot listings. We also have a feel-good story coming up as well. Arizona suburb turned into Mediterranean-style walking town where temperatures stay low. Pretty cool setup there as well. We got a property here at 9594 Maricamp Road. This one's in Ocala, Florida. We have a commercial business. You're buying the land, the building, 5,725 square feet, 0.95 acre lot. And the business is creating cash flow, kicking off cash flow from rentals. And you also have that seller financing as well. Seller financing with a strong down payment from 9594 Southeast Maricamp Road, Ocala, Florida. Another one of our beautiful listings. You can see all of our properties, all of our listings. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, investing, or refinancing, you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, milestones of adulthood. Let's take a look here. So, the number one step is moving out of the home, Mark. Right? So away from the parents. I'm out now. I've committed. I'm either renting or owning. So obviously we say own around here. In labor force, they're actively working in the marketplace. They're bringing their products and services to the labor force. They're entering corporate America, getting a paycheck, paying taxes. And then, did you get married? Are you married? Are you planning to have kids? 45% of all young adults achieved all four milestones in 1975. 45% in 1975, 21% in 2024. Young adults achieved all four milestones there. And so you look at, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, that could go to technology. You could go to, corporate greed and how. What's your general four milestones,
I do think that as a society, every generation gets softer and softer. So if you look at your great-grandparents, my grandparents going through the Great Depression, if you were born in 1900, you want to talk about a hard life?
That's right.
You saw the Titanic sank. You went through World War I, the flu, with that crazy flu that killed millions of people. Then you had the Great Depression. Then you got World War II. Then you got Vietnam. I mean, you're going through a really hard time. And all you know is poverty, war, destruction, etc. Here we are today. We live in the easiest, cushiest time.
That's
Everything's right at our fingertips. And I do think as parents, and I'm not knocking any parent, but I do think as parents, we're way too soft on our kids. And we don't want to push them out and go fail because, I can't see them fail, so we take care of them. And I have a lot of clients that help pay for their adult kids' lifestyle and mortgage and rent, etc. And I'm always like, stop.
You're
doing
subsidizing.
That. Stop
You're subsidizing
doing that.
the bad
They're never
habits.
going to not take from you.
Yeah.
So as soon as you stop it, it's going to flap their wings, and they're going to figure out just like you did and I did, and everybody else had to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so I do think as a country, we get softer and softer and softer. And these generations expect more and more for less and less.
Yeah, I mean, my grandma was canning tomatoes the day after her wedding, okay?
Yeah.
That's Granny Evelyn White over there in LaBelle, Florida. She was canning tomatoes. Can you imagine that? Like, that's the work culture. Like, you got married, good job. We got to go can these tomatoes. We got to go out and work because we know that winter's coming, right?
Exactly. And everything was work.
Yeah.
Everything. You want to get something to eat?
Yeah.
It was work.
Pull
it wasn't
the
Uber
feathers
Eats.
out of the chicken.
Exactly. You're going out, kill the
Skin
chicken,
the chicken.
get some of those tomatoes out of the garden. I'm going to go cook it up.
Pull the eggs out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The point being is today's youth is soft. They need to toughen up in a lot of cases. And we're.
And I'm not.
Yeah, we have. Yep, absolutely. All right, Mark Haye. Good stuff, man. 21st Century Financial. MarkHaye.com. Coming up, Anthony Rickman, criminal defense attorney, talk about some of the recent updates to the laws and some local cases happening right here in Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com, at Brandon Rimes 1, at CQB Show, and we'll be right back.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rimes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rimes here in studio. Anthony Rickman joining me, the Rickman Law Firm here in Tampa Bay. Yeah, terrible news about Coach Levitt, man. Just came out, discussed that. What a great coach. I played under Coach Levitt on the 96 inaugural football team, University of South Florida Bulls. Coach Levitt, great coach, lover of Christ, follower of Christ. We'll talk a little bit about that story. Also, illegal immigrants, unless you're hiding under a rock, that story's been in the paper and in the, everywhere. We're going to talk about that as well as, so that's the illegal driver and DeSantis' response. And then D.C., they're basically coming out and they're saying, hey, here's the manipulated stats, and you got it straight from the police chief talking about it. So Rickman is our criminal defense attorney, Anthony Rickman, in studio with us, attorney Anthony Rickman, the rickmanlawfirm.com. And a couple of hot listings. We'll jump right into it. All right, let's take a look at our new land listing at 13229 Interlaken Road. This one's in Odessa. I love that Odessa area. It's kind of your horse country, a little backwoods. You can still ride a dirt bike in different places out there. 13229 Interlaken Road, Odessa. You got over a half acre of land. You have a 24 by 30 foot metal storage building already on site as well. Great opportunity to build your dream home on that Odessa land. 10413 Main Street in Onasassa. More land for sale. We have about 15 or 20 vacant land parcels, 50 current listings, residential, commercial listings. This one's 3.63 acres of land in Onasassa Main Street, commercially zoned. That's a big deal when you have that commercially zoned, and easy access to major highways as well. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it.
All right, Anthony Rickman
down.
is back in studio. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, good stuff. Craziness going on in the world, right? You look at, I hear Charlie Kirk talking a lot about the illegals that are coming in, and it's that whole thought of, we're doing it to ourselves. These elites are allowing people into the country. And then you see the video come out last week of the guy making the illegal U-turn. He was trying to turn through the interstate on those gravel roads where basically you see a police officer. That's all that has the use of that is, those types of workers. And this guy takes a semi-truck through because he doesn't know how to read and speak English. And he's, I guess he got it from Washington, his CDL, California, via California. Crazy stories like that, man.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, growing up, I remember my grandfather telling me, he's like, follow the truck drivers. They're the best drivers on the road. They know where the rain is. They got the CB radios. They know what to do. Follow them. But now it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
What you're seeing is you got to be scared of those guys, because what we see now is they're coming in illegally. They're getting these jobs through these online companies. They're taking these tests, these Roadmaster CDL tests, and they're driving on our roadways without even knowing the language, how to read the sign, not even how to read the signs, and they're killing people.
Terrible.
And we saw a video of this guy just killing a family, and he did it without any sort of remorse, and just watching. He gets out of the car, not a care in the world, and 3 people are dead.
Yeah. The reaction was just...
The reaction was horrible. The way he was driving the vehicle was horrible. The way he just took that turn without even looking was horrible. And look, that's why law enforcement charged him with the crime as opposed to just charging him with the traffic infraction. Because law enforcement has a choice in any case involving a criminal, any case involving a crash involving death.
Right.
They have a choice to charge somebody criminally or charge them civilly.
Right.
And I deal with this all the time in my type of cases when law enforcement is making that decision. I try to get with law enforcement early. I try to avoid them charging my clients with criminal manslaughter, with vehicular homicide.
Right.
Showing them this is a crash, not someone who acted so wanton, so recklessly that it's likely to cause death or serious bodily injury. And in this case, this guy's a truck driver. He's driving a large weapon. That truck is a weapon that can kill, and in this case we saw it. How it did kill people. Yeah,
and it could be used almost like a 9/11. I mean, I hate to think this way, but when you think about that, right, we're letting certain worldviews into this country that don't want to assimilate. They do not want to be an American citizen. You've got pregnant Chinese ladies coming at 7, 8, 9 months pregnant to do the American birth thing, right? I mean, there's stuff going on. There's major implications to this, and I love DeSantis' response. I'm going to play that.
He, at the time, there was not any eyewitnesses. He didn't speak English, so they got the all the facts they could. But then when they got the videotape, they saw. So immediately he fled to California, obviously sanctuary state. He was able to be detained in California, and so today I'm sending Florida's new Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins to California, and tomorrow morning.
So anyways, they had to bring him back, but that's an old clip, and I think you had some insight there.
Yeah, look, they got him.
Yeah.
Jay Collins went there himself and made sure that he got back to Florida.
Yeah.
He didn't pass go, didn't collect $200. He went straight
Right.
to jail, and he went to jail in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that is what should have happened initially. And when you talk about what should have happened initially, one of the problems we have in this case is that there was no real check and balance because there wasn't that database that told state officials that he shouldn't have been here in the first place, because he's here in the country illegally.
Yeah.
And he's been in the country for a while, and he's out on a federal bond for illegal entry into this country.
Wow.
Goes to California, gets his license, then comes to Florida, drives on our state roads unlawfully, and kills people. And Florida can't even check to see what's going on with it.
Compliments of sanctuary cities and states. Am I wrong?
Compliments of Gavin Newsom, right? At the end of the day, he comes in through California.
Yeah.
And he's cut and release.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, but for him coming to this country illegally, and but for them letting him go, getting that bond, these people wouldn't be dead.
Yeah, it's terrible.
At the end of the day, we're talking about a loss of lives, and we're talking about not just that, a reckless driver, someone who should have never had a license in the first place, being given the right to operate a heavy vehicle, a semi-truck, capable of killing people, driving it in a reckless manner, and then killing the individuals.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
ultimately,
they could declare whatever they say in their religion, right? And then have a lot of those semi-trucks, couldn't they? I mean, theoretically, they could have a lot of those semi-trucks pointed at state capitals or drinking water plants or whatever, you name it, right? Because they've let in how many millions of illegals, and they're going to have a percentage of them. And Charlie Kirk's been beating this drum a lot. A lot of the Islam, they have their 1, 2, 3. Their third one is do it at all cost.
Look, the biggest problem has been our borders. We've known that. We don't know what's coming in through the borders. We do know what's coming in. We know that drugs have been coming through the borders. We know that people, undocumented aliens, have been coming through the borders, committing crimes throughout this country.
Yep.
We know that a lot of other things have been coming through the borders, and now we're seeing the repercussions. And it's not just happening in California. It's not just happening in Chicago and New York.
Right.
It's happening in Port St. Lucie. It's happening in our backyard. And it's not people doing violent crimes. It's not people doing. It's not every time is a homicide.
Yeah.
Not every time it's a murder. It's cases like this.
Mm-hmm.
People who are being given the right to do things that they shouldn't be doing in the state of Florida, who have not been taught, who have not been trained in how to drive properly in our country, how to understand our language, how to understand what we do in America, and violating our laws when they shouldn't be here in the first place.
Yeah, they don't want to assimilate. They don't care about our country. There's even some of the elected representatives that are saying, I'm more sympathetic to whatever country it was. Did you see the clips? I mean, that's what's great about the internet today is we have receipts and we have the clips, and it's great when you have them in their own words saying these things. You've got two mayors. You got two of the biggest and best cities in America, New York City and Minneapolis, about to elect Muslim mayors in those two big cities. So this has been a plan of the globalists and the elites for a long time. And it's, we have to stand up. We have to make every bit of difference that we can. That's, hey, I'm a full-time real estate agent. I'm selling deals, making deals happen. But I want to bring these messages out because I'm on the side of good. We're on the right-hand side here.
Yeah, and I don't think really it's the religion aspect. It's more of the ideology. It's that ideology, a social ideology that open borders is the ideology of soft on crime. I don't really think it's a religion thing per se, but I think it's more of it's the ideology of them not doing what's right for this country.
Yeah.
And that's being tough on crime in certain circumstances.
Yeah, I think,
and that's not having secure borders, and that is what's caused a lot of these issues.
Yeah.
And when you open the floodgates and you open the borders and you're soft on crime, then you allow people who are extreme on all sides of the world, on all sides of the spectrum, to come in and cause havoc.
Yeah.
And that's what causes these issues of terrorism, other things.
Yeah, it's an internal cause, and that's the big overarching theme here. Is it's one side of the electorate, or at least politically, that does the gerrymandering and then turns around and says, hey, why are they doing gerrymandering? Like, you have those types of things. And then you also have this story in Florida here. This is where DeSantis, the whole thing back and forth about, hey, we have Alligator Alcatraz here in South Florida. The detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz, located in the Everglades. Federal court ruled that the facility must be dismantled. DeSantis says, hey, I denounce the decision. It's politically motivated. We're going to continue on it. What have you followed that one much?
Yeah. So, you have an elected governor of the state of Florida creating a facility to house people who are here illegally and unlawfully. And now you have a judge, a judge is unelected, an unelected judge or elected at some
bureaucrat,
point.
Basically.
A bureaucrat,
yep.
a jurist, and as an attorney, I'm not talking bad about a judge for Florida bar.
Yep.
But
yep.
in generally speaking,
right.
A judge overruling the will of the governor who's elected by the people and the legislature. And that is, that's going to go to the courts eventually. And we'll make the determination. And the governor said no. The governor is defying this judge. And that's not going to happen at this point in time. So we are going to see another standoff. And we're going to see that issue of separation of powers, of who has the power. And at the end of the day, I believe the governor has the power.
Right.
The governor has the executive power to create the Alligator Alcatraz, to create the other facilities, to house these individuals who have committed crimes. And look, at the end of the day, I'm sitting here, I'm a defense attorney, but I'm a citizen, I'm a father. Yeah. I'm a member of the community first.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, I want my community safe and my family safe.
Yes.
And that's and we want our state safe.
We're a law and order state. That's right. And Florida's still number one in a lot of categories. You think about Florida, the lowest number of state workers per capita, lowest debt per capita, second lowest spending per capita, no income tax, number one in public education system. You have the lowest in-state tuition out of the entire country, universal school choice. Law and order policies. Number one, new business formations. I mean, we're number one in a lot of things. So things are great here in Florida. I'm looking forward to a federal rate cut. I'm looking forward to the economy picking up in Florida. We're going to have more people, flooding into the state if you have the two mayors I just mentioned, the New York City and Minneapolis. People are going to be fleeing those states again. It could be a COVID 2.0 in terms of people moving from New York to Florida. And my platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, we welcome that.
Don't forget California. I mean, people are still leaving California.
Yes.
And they're coming to Florida because of what you said, because of how great our state is. And we want to keep it that way. So, at the end of the day, we need these things in place. You need the regulations, you need the rules. And I think we have the system in place to do it.
Yeah, I love it. Attorney Anthony Rickman, that is, on the Consumer Quarterback Show, the RickmanLawFirm.com. You can find him online. He's got his Facebook page out there as well. On our website, also at ConsumerQB.com. Anthony, I want to spend a lot of time on it, but, I played football at the University of South Florida. Coach Levitt, in my opinion, great coach. This university could have been the next, insert name, Miami of the 90s. You got the Ohio States are dominant, different dominant schools, right? Alabama. We could have been that, except the press got in the way and made up the manufactured story about how he hit an athlete, blah, blah, blah. And then, he's in the news again. But and the great thing about our country and our judicial system, Judeo-Christian beliefs, is that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Without a doubt. And look, USF would not even be anywhere close to where it was without Coach Levitt.
Right.
And I was at USF from 98 to 02. Now I've aged myself. He built that program, and he built what USF is as a program.
Yeah.
And he's been, he had a great career after USF, despite everything that happened, here and where he was unlawfully terminated and wrongfully terminated ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
But, you see now this accusation, really that's what it is.
Yep.
And as a criminal defense attorney, I deal with this every day. And it's people being accused of a crime. It's one person saying that somebody did something to them.
Right.
But that is all we have is an accusation. And people are presumed innocent. And Coach Levitt, like any person, has that presumption of innocence. And it's unfortunate because someone like him who's a public figure, someone who's been in the limelight, and a lot of times in his circumstance, wrongfully so in some circumstances, for the wrong things. Someone who's been in the limelight, you automatically see the lights and sirens and all this stuff and the glam about what happened. And really, we don't know what happened until you get to the facts of the case.
Right.
And right now, it's simply an accusation. And I'm sure there's more to the story than what you see in the four corners of a criminal report affidavit.
Right.
That's the affidavit that brings somebody into court.
Yeah.
And a news article. And at the end of the day, his defense is going to be brought up. He'll have this day in court. And it's important for people to understand that in this case or in any case, that you got to take a step back and understand that you have that presumption.
Right.
But, when we talk about what law enforcement does and when that arrest is made, it's important, obviously, to get a good attorney. And it's important, for Coach Levitt, for anybody charged with a crime, when law enforcement is involved. And one of the biggest cases that I see, this being, in his case, is domestic related, is a domestic type of case where one person accuses another person in a family situation or a dating situation of some sort of violence.
Yeah.
And in those circumstances, someone usually goes to jail. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's the man. Yeah. And regardless of that person the man is defending himself, regardless of how that initial confrontation began, a lot of times law enforcement is going to make the arrest, and they're going to pin it on the person who is not calling 911, the person who makes the initial call, and law enforcement is going to take that at face value. Ultimately, what's going to happen in this case, as in every case, the state attorney's office is going to conduct their own investigation. They're going to interview their own witnesses. They're going to review all the evidence. And ultimately, they'll make the determination if they actually pursue formal charges. Yeah. One of the things that I do in my case is, in a case like this, if I were to have it, or any case, is that the most important thing in my case is someone to come to me and say, hey, I've been arrested and accused of this type of case, a battery or domestic violence, is getting to the prosecutor early. Yeah. Talking to that prosecutor, showing them why my client shouldn't be charged in the first place. I had a case recently where my client came in and they had seen another attorney. The attorney's like, oh, just wait for the state to charge you and we'll go to court. Yeah, yeah. That's the worst approach you can ever take. That's terrible advice. Just waiting. I'm not going to wait for the state. Yeah. Look, the best defense as a defense attorney is to be offensive with the defense. Yeah. And what that means is gathering evidence, having your investigator go out, gathering the evidence, showing the state why this defendant, this suspect, this person shouldn't be prosecuted. Yeah. And that's what I do in my cases.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Anthony Rickman, the RickmanLawFirm.com. Quick break, right back. More with Anthony here. And some other local real estate stats here coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Anthony Rickman in studio. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Tired of long lines at the airport? Check out Tampa Bay's premier private jet source. I'm Brandon Rimes for Will Smith Aviation. Aircraft management, acquisition, and sales, luxury jet escapes, and packages. Check them out online. WillSmithAviation.com. That's WillSmithAviation.com. Or call the show. I'll put you right in touch directly with Captain Will Smith. AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com for all of your non-woke American-made products. American values, Christian, conservative American values. Say hello to my business partner, Jim McCune at AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Say hello to Shane Socash, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, 4009 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg. Online at David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com for all of your precious metals and jewelry design. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Hey, Brandon Rimes here for Jason Coble, owner of Coble Law. Coble Law has been handling injury cases in Tampa for the past 14 years and has a specialized approach focused on limiting client cost and maximizing client profit. TampaWorkCompLaw.com. TampaWorkCompLaw.com. Jason Coble, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, personal injury law, and work comp law. Hey, Brandon Rimes here for our friends at TargetSurveying.net. For all of your surveying needs, land surveying firm providing services for real estate since 1992, and they are statewide. Check them out online, TargetSurveying.net. That's TargetSurveying.net. Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rimes. You can reach me at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com. That's ConsumerQB, like quarterback.com. Buying, selling, investing, or refinancing? We would love to talk to you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rimes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Anthony Rickman in studio with us, talking criminal defense, law, with us here on the program. Hot listing, we'll jump into it. I want to talk about some of the things happening in the law enforcement side. And it's interesting. I got a clip also from a police chief talking about how they were basically caught downgrading stats and the crime stats, and also this movement of the administration next going into Chicago. Going to be very interesting to see there as well. 4798 Indigo Road, Groveland, Florida. We got 40 plus acres here. We're breaking this down into 5-acre parcels. So you're going to have some ranchette style homes here, home sites in Groveland, Florida. You have beautiful lakes on site. 4798 Indigo Road in Groveland, Florida. 42 acres of land for sale from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
Yeah, 40 acres and a mule. That's right. All right, Anthony Rickman in studio with us, and got a quick clip, and then we'll talk about Chicago.
President Donald Trump has said this. That's why I'm wearing my Cubs hat. Let's play cut 532.
And after we do this, we'll go to another location, and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent.
Grossly incompetent, and here's the police chief.
These were people that were part of the police union that had since retired that said, yeah, we have been asked to move these stats. We've been moving these stats. The crime in D.C. was actually worse than reported.
Yes, this is the Washington Police Commissioner Greg Pemberton talking about the manipulated stats.
Let's hear it.
Absolutely. That's one of the chief complaints of our members when we go around and talk to them, is that they respond to the scenes of these violent crimes. And inevitably, you'll have a captain or a commander or sometimes a lieutenant show up on the scene and advise them to take a report for a lesser offense. One of the things that we see them do often is sometimes there'll be a shooting or a stabbing. And if the victim is uncooperative with the police, which is not uncommon in some areas of the city, they'll be directed to take an injured person to the hospital report, which is not even a crime.
That's one way to lower the crime stats, Anthony. If I could only
Hey, my clients would love that, huh?
Oh, man. That's crazy, though, isn't it? I mean, you actually have this going on, but it's all part of the DEI overarching, even BlackRock owning Cracker Barrel now with the whole thing and the logo. These people, they're playing for keeps, man.
No, and that's what it is. And you see them manipulating the stats to justify their opposition to what Trump did.
Yes.
And what Trump did is he sent in the National Guard to make the streets safer in D.C. And really, he's not going and making this nationwide bust like people are saying, where they're knocking down doors and doing these roundups. That's not what happened.
That's sensationalism.
That's sensationalism. He's putting the National Guard in certain locations to free up the Metro Police so that they can do their job.
Yeah.
And you could see some of the clips of people in D.C. actually cheering on the police, saying, I can finally walk through the streets without worrying about getting robbed.
Yeah, and he wears bling. He was glad he could wear his chain. He had his bling on,
Yeah, I mean, but look, at the end of the day, people should be able to walk through their streets free and safe. Look at Chicago. I mean, the mayor refused to answer simple questions the other day about the problems with crime in the streets. He refused to answer the questions about the youth in Chicago who are running through the streets, beating up people, causing crime, committing crimes, doing robberies, and the streets are crazy. And ultimately, Trump is going to send in the National Guard the same way he did in D.C. to calm the streets, because at the end of the day, they are not doing their job.
Right.
And they're elected as the executive of that city. They're elected to control crime, and they are not. And they can't. And the reason they can't, because it's outside of their agenda. Yeah. And if they come in and they say, we're going to be hard on crime, we're going to be tough on crime, we're going to go and make bail, we're going to make this bill higher. Yeah. It is against the agenda of their voting base.
That's right.
And they will never get elected again, because that is what the voters in the inner city want.
And they're puppeteers. They're puppeteers. And also on the crime stats, these crime stats go way back, too. So it's not just after the reaction of Trump being in there. These are crime stats being manipulated for years. And that's the same thing happening in labor and other places. That's why Trump's cleaning house with a lot of these folks.
Oh, we're good. And we're blessed to be in Florida.
That's
we
right.
don't have that issue here.
That's right. Make America great again.
But if you do have the issue and you are arrested, call me.
There you go. RickmanLawFirm.com. TheRickmanLawFirm.com. There you go. That's right. Hey, another great show. We had Mark Haye on the front end talking cash flow investing versus accumulation investing. And, of course, Anthony Rickman joining us here. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And thanks for tuning in to the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback. Brandon Rimes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rimes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.